Hey there, and welcome back to Sonic Safari, a channel featuring tales of record collecting. I'm your host, Marcus, a Swedish hipster lost in the fog in San Francisco. And I can't believe it, we're already at 10 videos. It feels like yesterday I did my first and I was horrified of the way that I looked and especially sounded. So we've just kickstarted a competition to just give back to all the amazing support and feedback I've received from you guys. So if you haven't already, please put your name in the hat to win one of the 3 gift cards I'm giving away for a record in a silly little game we called Record Collecting Speed Dating. So today I want to talk about an app that I think most of us record collectors use, whether we love it or not, and that's Discogs, and the features that I would love to see to improve the service. So let's get to it. I'm pretty sure most of you know the story already, but very quickly. Discogs started in 2000 by Kevin Lewandowski in Portland, Oregon as a hobby side project. And initially he wanted to create the biggest database of electronic music. But as soon as he opened up for the database to be crowdsources, that is for users to edit and add artists and releases, rock quickly became the biggest part of the site, and it now includes any genre you can think of. And the listings have exploded. According to their site, there is now just short of 15 million releases from 8 million artists at Discogs right now. Pretty crazy. So to me, you can basically use Discogs in 3 main ways. The first one is that you can log your collection on the app, including exactly what releases you have, meaning what label released it and in what year. So here you can see my collection, and I have enough records to where this is very useful and helps me to not buy the same record over and over again. Trust me, it has happened. You can also log the records that you do want in the future, which very quickly goes, let's say, out of hand. A lot of us also use Discogs as an indication to get the value for a specific release or for your collection as a whole. The value you get from Discog is spread over minimum, medium, and maximum price based on previous sales of that specific record. There are many reasons to take this number with a grain of salt, one simple one being that it's easy to throw that number off simply because one record was sold for very expensive for some reason. A signed release in the shrink, for example. So that's something to keep in mind. And lastly, Discog is a marketplace, so you can buy and sell records all over the world. I have never sold a record on Discog, but I have bought many times, and overall the experience has been very positive, I would say. I would encourage you to check out the review of a seller to see if there have been any issues in the past, and also make sure to use the goods and services option in PayPal that gives you more protection if something goes wrong, and not the friends and families option. But overall, again, I've only had good experiences. So love it or hate it, Discog has really become a critical tool for a record collector, and if you're not using it already, I really recommend that you do. There's a lot of great things about the app. Of course, there are also things about the app that I would like to change or feature that I would like to see be added. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. And of course, I would like to hear your opinions about Discogs. But before we do that, please like and subscribe. It helps me more than you think. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to talk about the What's Hot feature, which is part of the homepage when you open the app. Now, I use Discog mostly on my mobile phone, but I'm going to show you the desktop version today just because it looks better on the video. So the What's Hot feature could be a great feature in my opinion. It's a way to get a snapshot of releases that are trending right now, give you an option to discover albums you might have missed out on. However, Discogs are not curing this at all, instead including today 15 million releases. The same applies to the genre pages, so rock for example, and I feel that curating the What's Hot and genre pages is where they should focus their editorial resources, instead of the articles on the top of the page that personally I hardly ever read. There are many publications that write about music, and I don't think that this is what Discogs are best at. So if the What's Hot was a list of the top, let's say 50 albums, editorially curated, you could easily go through it and get a snapshot of what is hot right now, and also in each of the genres, and that will be super useful in my point of view. Okay, so next up is the want list, and my want list is completely out of control, and I don't think I'm the only one. So personally, one problem I have is that my want list has gone from being records that I actually want to being records I want, and also records that I heard about somewhere and just put it in my want list to check out later and then completely forgot about. It has happened many times that I end up buying a record because it's on my want list, forgetting that I actually didn't listen to it, and when I get home, I actually did not like it. So I would love to be able to split these into two separate lists, the actual want list and then a, let's call it, to be explored list, but with a better name. Okay, so related to the want list is the mail that gets sent out based on your want list. And if you haven't already, I urge you to check out a video that Jonas made over at SublimMedia about this subject in much more details. I would add the link in the description below. So ideally, I would love for this mail to feature the records that are added recently so I can pick them up very quickly before someone else does. But for many reasons, the mail ends up being basically the same mail over and over again as sellers refresh their inventory on a daily basis to be featured in the mail, so it kind of loses its function. Another feature I would love to see is the ability to tag a record in my collection as an upgrade copy, so I can easily filter them out from the rest of the collection. I think we all have them, and sometimes we buy it knowing it is an upgrade copy, like this Chet Baker release I have from Wax Time that I'm waiting to find a good OG copy of. Sometimes a record becomes an upgrade from wear and tear, or a new issue is released that you want more, but I would find it super useful to quickly be able to filter out my upgrade copies when I'm out digging because, to be honest, I don't remember which one I have at home. So sellers can obviously list a release on Discogs, and there is the feature where you can suggest a price to a seller, and if the seller agrees, you get it automatically. So one feature that I think would be really interesting to explore is the ability for me as a buyer to proactively say, I want to buy a specific release in a specific state for a certain price. If a buyer now sees that and goes, cool, I think that's a great deal, they can accept and the trade happens. So not only do I think a feature like this would be interesting to explore because it could make the selling and buying experience more seamless, I also think that the data point could be really interesting when we establish the value of a record. Now it's all based on what has already been sold, but now we could also get a data point of what the market is willing to pay for a specific release to get two different perspectives. So imagine that a record has been sold for $50 and that's the medium price right now, but if we have 10 people that are willing to pay 70, that's probably an indication of what the value of the record is. Okay, and I also wanted to talk about one of my pet peeves with Discogs, and that is the accuracy of the data. So sometimes when browsing, you can see a record that is for sale in a number of copies for a certain price, but when you click through, the number of copies for sale is actually less. This is especially annoying when it affects the price. So you see one lowest price in the listings, but when you click through, that record is no longer there and the lowest price is thus higher. The reason is that the record is not available in the US, and for some reason this is displayed on desktop but not on mobile. This really should be fixed. So one thing I would love to see as a buyer is flat shipping. So mostly here in the US you pay $4.99 for shipping, but there are times when sellers state a lower price on the record only to have more expensive shipping. And buying in Europe, the prices are all over the place, even within the same country. So I know this is probably very hard to do, but again, this is a wish list, so flat shipping. All right, so those are the things that I wanted to talk about. So what do you think? Is Discog a great critical feature for a record collector? Is it something you use even if you don't really like it, or maybe you don't use it at all? And if that's the case, what do you use? Please let me know. All right, so that's it for today's episode. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So next week, I want to talk about the boom in sales of recorded music and also my personal journey in using different formats of recorded music. Until then, tack och adjö.